Good evening, everyone. Today we have Renu Agarwal amongst us. She is currently working as a service business partner at Dassault Systemes. How are you, Renu?
I'm good, Gavit. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So let's straight away just start off, right? Okay, so can you
Sure.
tell us something about yourself, like your college time and your previous companies and all?
Yes, sure. So, beginning with my professional life, I am a 9 years plus experienced IT professional, and I am currently living in Pune with my family. I have a 3-year-old son, and I started off my career with Infosys as a systems engineer trainee. So, I got a chance to stay in Mysore, explore the imminent facilities that they have, right? Infosys, I think most of the people who are graduating must have heard from their friends or their relatives as to how beautiful is that Mysore campus. And then I spent around 8 years in Infosys and played varied roles. Like I started off as a developer, and then I moved on to be a implementation specialist to give certain kind of specialized advices for implementation to different clients. But my inclination was always in a role where I could interact more with the customers, understand their ground problems. So that's why I decided to move into a pre-sales role. So I was in Infosys as a pre-sales consultant for a robotics process automation product. And then finally in December 2019, I switched to Dassault Systemes as a services business partner, where I'm supporting their services portfolio, especially in the Europe region.
That's great. I mean, to start off a career at Infosys, that is a pretty big thing in itself. Like it is a company that's second to none, so it must feel great to be a part of Infosys right when you graduate. So, I mean, that's great, really.
Yes, indeed. And the biggest feeling is when you get your placement, even when you're studying. So that would I say that is a cherry on the cake.
I would totally agree. Considering myself, I'm in college as well, so I would look to get a placement as well while I'm studying. So
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
Now, so like you said that you wanted to be, involved with people, involved with customers, getting to solve their queries and all. So how did you decide that yes, this is something that I really like, or was it something that you had in the back of your mind from the get go that no, although I am being a developer here, but I still want to go into that. So what made you choose your current career path?
So I think since school, I was always that kind of an extrovert person who was always involved in different kinds of extracurricular activities. I was also championing the college fest that you may also have annually, right? So I was the convener there. So I think since the very beginning, I was into talking to people, interacting with them. And when I started off my career in ID sector, uh, working as a developer was something that I think every fresher does, right? So that's what I did too. But then over the period of time, I realized that this is not me. I have always been a person who loves to talk to people, learn from their experiences, share some of my experiences as well. But developer being, being a developer being some kind of restrictions to that area, because you are working slow solely to only align to the code that you are supposed to work on, right? And that's where I think after spending around 5 years as a developer, I decided that now it's time that I switch to this role. And that's where I started exploring opportunities outside my organization and within my organization too. And I would really like to thank my managers there in my previous company who understood my ambition and my aspirations. And eventually, I got internal alignment, and then I moved into the pre-sales domain of the very same product. So
Oh,
yes, I think pre-sales is kind of my personality, I would say.
great. So So like to conclude, Malab, that means that it takes time. Gradually, only you understand that yes, I would like to go in that, not the field that I'm in right now. Like you started off as a developer, then you in 5 years you got to know that no, this is not my thing. I want to expand. I want to know more people. So you mean to say that it takes time, right? You
So, see, I would say it depends, Gavit. So, some people are very clear in their thoughts since the beginning. Okay. So, they know maybe from their school time or their college time that they have to this particular certain thing. But I would say that most of these students, or maybe say 70 or 75% of the students, really don't know as to what is they actually want to do. So they, when they move into their professional careers, they can eventually get that sense what excites them. So for me, that realization came after 5 years, but some people that realization can come even in the initial years of their job as well. So it totally depends. What is important is once you realize what you really want to do, you act on it,
exactly, yes.
right?
Right.
So
So
that's where I decided that once I realized that I have to move on to this role, I started talking to people, understanding where I can be a fit. And I tell you, the kind of satisfaction that I get from my job now, it's compared to none, actually.
actually, yes.
Yeah.
So let's say that someone is about to graduate from their college,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like you said, 70-75% of the students don't actually know what they're going to do in life, what their career they're going to go. So what is the one piece of advice that you want to give them that, okay, this is the thing that you must do? Obviously, there cannot be one thing, but yeah, if one thing has to come up, what would that be? That piece of advice.
So I would advise them to not to hasten up things, not to speed things too much initially, and not to think too much about everything, because what usually happens is people think that as soon as I am graduated, I will be working into a field that is best for me and I can excel in there like anything. So my suggestion is you take your time, you see what excites you more. It could be a person who has, say for example, if a person has done engineering, he or she could eventually get into the IT sector, but then later realize that IT is not their cup of tea. So it's fine if you're taking initial couple of years to basically identify that, but once you identify, you should move towards that. Okay. And second piece of advice is do not compare. You are special in your own ways, you have your own personality, and you cannot really compare to what your friend is doing. So if that person says very good at technical stuff, and you might not be the right person to do the technical stuff, it's fine. If I in particularly talk about IT sector, it is not just about being technical. There are so many roles which let you explore what is your personality. So I think give time and then don't compare. So these are the two key things which I always follow, and I have tried to follow. So another thing is, even as my in my household, my husband is a core techie guy. He's totally
Right.
into technical stuff, and I am working totally opposite what he is doing. And at one point of time, we both were teammates, we both were coding.
Oh,
So we eventually realized that while I am doing coding, I was okay, okay at it. But at the end of the day, I couldn't feel that level of satisfaction that I could, get while I was working. So
so
making money is definitely one part of it, but then
yes.
satisfaction is definitely a very important facet, I would say.
So you mean that you will definitely hit roadblocks during your time. I mean, jumping from one company to another. Then only you'll get to know that no, this is not the place for me. I won't be satisfied here. Like you said, money is okay. It's a good thing. It's a very important thing to look at, but satisfaction is another. And
Yes,
secondly, do not compare again because you are special in your own way, like you rightly said.
indeed.
So that was the set of questions that we had. Renu, thank you so much for agreeing to do this podcast with us. It really helps us, putting it out to the people who to the students who actually need this. They need this piece of advice from it's someone who has experienced it in their own way. So that would be a really great help to them. So thank you so much for agreeing to doing this.
Yeah, it
Thank you.
was really pleasure talking to you, Gavit, and I wish all the best to the students. And just remember one thing: it's never too late. You can always back up. You can always jump again and reach wherever you want. So keep trying and keep
Yes,
excelling.
absolutely. Thank you, Renu.
Thank you. Thank you so much.